Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Grain Gauntlet. I'm Josh. This is Patrick. We've got 5 questions again this week. We've got 4 questions from current clients and 1 that we received from a prospect. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, first question. Do we need a Trump put to be in place for corn ahead of the report?
Let me ask you, have you seen anything about Trump puts in social media?
Everything's doom and gloom in social media, I'll tell you that. So, yeah, I guess so. Everyone is, assuming the worst. The fear is there. The people have said a lot of crazy things. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I heard from some of my long-standing peers in personal conversation about a Trump put, that we need to protect corn prices by buying a cheap put for the next 30 days. My preference is buying an extra put to protect the downside is do something that will benefit longer term, because when you buy something short term, you usually lose on it. So our strategy doesn't incorporate buying just a cheap put just to be really protected. It involves a strategy where we believe it will work long term, even if we drop 20 or 30 cents after the report or during the April 2nd export tariff day.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've seen a lot of crazy things, including that we're about to lose all of our export demand. I don't know how anyone could come to that conclusion, but that's the kind of thing that's being tossed around out there. All right, next question. Is there any premium left in the wheat market that will be priced out if there is a peace deal to end the war between Russia and Ukraine?
No, wheat prices absolutely stink. There's no premium of any kind in it. This is at ridiculous levels. Pretty similar to soybeans. Just how low can they go? Nobody's going to sell at this level until they absolutely have to. And I think any kind of weather or news is going to be more positive than negative in both wheat and soybeans.
Yeah, I think honestly the dip we've seen with wheat this week more has to do with reports of improving weather than the war ending. They've been sending out record amounts of grains the last 2 years while this has been going on. So how has the war ending really changed?
It's we're past that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This was a 2-part question. It started with, what's your worry level on these proposed $1 million plus fees on Chinese-built ships when they dock in U.S. ports? And he goes on to next say that obviously that can happen, or at least there's some exception that will be made for grain exports, right?
Yeah, my amount of worry is 0%. First of all, this is not going to be in place for a very long time. And people I've talked to don't think it's going to get done. So for right now, there's no reason to plan for it.
Yeah, and Treasury Secretary Bissett also tried to ease fears about this right away and came out and said that there's just something they'd be looking at the end of the year at the earliest. It's not going to be mixed in with all the current tariff and trade talks. So I'm sure it will get resolved well before anything gets implemented. This question says, I've read that over half of farmers don't support Trump's use of tariffs. Why do you think that is?
They're scared right now. Farmers, for the most part, support Trump's policies, and they're just scared about what is going to happen to corn and soybean prices this year and whatever they're going to plant this spring. So fear will always cause negativity.
Yeah, and having short-lived. Having a major grain writers say that we're about to lose all of our demand doesn't help. No, so it's misinformation to a degree, I think. Yep, I agree with that. And then this last question is from a prospect. Basic question. How do you guys go about getting a cash sale recommendation out to me when one is made?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. Well, we don't call people individually because that would be unfair. We'd be calling all our long-term 20-year clients first with a cash sale. So what we do is we do a broadcast We send out a taped message to everybody that gets our reports and gets it's a Hedge Plus Complete client that are due to get our cash sales. It goes out at the same time. At the same time, 80-90% of my clients been with me a long time. They simply follow the recommendation on making the cash sales. 10 or 20, the newer guys may call in or have a special situation like no bin space, so maybe they want to get heavier, and they'll call in and we'll talk to them, individualize that plan for them. But we get it out to everybody at the same time through our broadcasts and through our morning and afternoon reports.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be able to put that one in there, because it's a basic question, but yeah, in back people's minds, especially a potential new client coming in, it has to be fair, and you also want it to be somewhat immediate. So yeah, we put out that broadcast and everyone gets it at the exact same time.
Okay.
It's good.
I like to close with a comment about things that I believe are going to go on. We could see a lot of acres being planted, as reported by USDA next Monday, in corn, and that could be bearish. So being protective, a new crop right now, I think is a smart plan. But the protection has to be such that you don't lose money in a drought year. The NOAA is calling for 44% of the acres that produced corn last year, 44% of U.S. corn production, to be under drought by the end of June. That doesn't mean we're going to have drought, but it does surely increase the risk of drought from 8% to maybe, I've heard as high as a 30% chance this year. We don't need a drought to spike prices, okay? We don't need a drought. We just need fear of that to spike prices. So one thing you don't want to do with your crop hedge protection is lose money. If it rallies to 550, you're just taking off your cash price. So some kind of strategy that allows you to keep the top side open will give you good protection, especially with potential for rapid planting and more acres being reported by the USDA. I think it's a great strategy.
All right, good. Okay. Any more questions about that? Definitely give us a call. That's it for this week. Thank you, everybody. Be sure to submit your questions for next week, and we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.